It's 8:07 on NewsTalk 1079. It's Neal Larson along with Julie Mason on a Thursday morning. And joining us from the nation's capital is U.S. Senator Jim Risch. Senator, how are you this morning?
I am great, Neal. This is a great time to be a Republican.
Okay, this...
how the tides have turned.
And wanes.
Yes.
I remember going through this when Ronald Reagan was elected, and of course then we had ups and downs. I remember when Nixon left, we all felt bad, and anyway, it's this is just a great time. It really is. We're looking forward to making America great again.
You know, I remember 2 years ago, Senator, when the red wave that was supposed to happen it had a barely pink hue to it. This kind of makes up for it because you're going to have Trump in the White House. The Republicans control the Senate now, and we're going to get to that in just a moment. They kept narrow control of the House, and of course we have a conservative Supreme Court. It really is a good time in Washington to be a Republican, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. And of course, the sword cuts both ways because obviously when that happens, there's high expectations of us because we do have control of all those things. And we're going to do our absolute best to perform. We're going to get right behind Donald Trump, and he has a mandate. It's him that is responsible for this. And, I like to say, and not many people in Idaho have done more for him than I have. I worked with him when he was president before. I was ranking member and then chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee, getting his appointments across the line. And I'm going to do the exact same thing this time, already working hard at it with he and his team.
Well, let's talk about the new majority in the Senate, because obviously that changes a lot of things. We'll have a new majority leader in John Thune. And now one of your next biggest tasks is to take up the president's nominees, everyone from Matt Gaetz to all the cabinet members that he's putting forward. How do you think that's going to play out? I feel like over the last 24 to 48 hours, there is a kind of a shift. Marsha Blackburn and Lindsey Graham have both said they are in support of Matt Gaetz as AG. Do you feel like, even though he's a controversial pick, that there is a growing level of support for him?
Yeah, I do. And look, this is not unusual. There are thousands of picks that the president has to make. When that happens, you're bound to have one or more persons in there that have idiosyncrasies that people might have a problem with. But look, we're going to get behind these. I have voted for every single appointment that Donald Trump has ever made. I've carried him on the floor. Yesterday I met with J.D. Vance for quite a while. I met with Marco Rubio, who is a good friend of mine, of course, but also one of the most important picks that he makes to be Secretary of State in line for the presidency, and runs the State Department. And so, look, we're at this. We're working hard at it. We're going over the list. We're moving the things forward as they should be, and we'll get through these things. I mean, the process is a good process. The founding fathers set it up to where the president picks, and the Senate has to advise and consent, and it's worked really, really well. I think people have a tendency to focus on one of these and ignore the thousands of others that are out there. But we'll get through them. We'll get through them all.
All right. Well, let's keep talking about the wins that have happened. Yesterday, it looks like Bernie Sanders' bill to restrict the sales of weapons to Israel was not just shot down, but very soundly defeated. And we've got just this tumult going on in the Middle East. And we haven't spoken with you for a little bit. So can you get us caught up on that and about what happened with Bernie Sanders?
Yeah, I led the fight on that against Bernie Sanders' bill. I'm obviously the senior Republican on the Foreign Relations Committee, so I led that fight. And look, the Democrats have done this all along. They've got this tepid support for Israel, and they claim they're in support of Israel, and yet they're wringing their hands about, they shouldn't be doing this and they shouldn't be doing that. Look, you either support them or you don't support them. This business, I'm like everybody else. I don't like seeing the civilians that get killed in Gaza. But this is not Israel's fault. These cowards hide behind women and children in schools and hospitals. And to get them, Israel's got to do what they got to do to get through them. And so this Sanders and the left is saying, oh well, we should stop this and have a ceasefire. What if somebody would have tried to stop us when we were on our way to Berlin in World War II? We made the same decision that the Israelis have made. We made the same decision regarding the Nazis, and that they could not exist as a military force, as a political force, or a cultural force. We went in and destroyed them. We killed them, and once we didn't kill on the battlefield, we hunted down and tried them, and then they were executed. Israel's going through the same thing. They have made a decision that for their existential survival, they cannot have Hamas on their doorstep. So they're going out to get Hamas. We need to back them. We need to give them what they need and stop this hand-wringing. Because if you don't, this is going to happen again. If you stop right now and let them reconstitute, it's going to happen again. It's time to give them the full support they need. And good news is that we got every Republican. I think maybe one voted the other way, but there were about half of the Democrats voted the wrong way. But we won it. We won it big.
Speaking of Israel, let's talk about a development this morning. The International Criminal Court has issued an arrest warrant for Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, as well as a Hamas leader. And Israel issued a statement, of course, rejecting it. They said that it was absurd. Well, what happens, Senator Risch, in a situation like this? Obviously, Israel is one of our most important allies, and we certainly defend Prime Minister Netanyahu. What happens now?
Nothing. The International Court has really no teeth to it at all. And there'll be certain places he can't travel because the enemies of Israel would arrest him under this false document. But they have no jurisdiction over Netanyahu. We are not a member of the International Criminal Court for this very reason. You get this business where they try to have one foot on each side of the fence. I can understand them issuing a warrant for the leaders of Hamas. They started this war on October 7th. They're arresting the head of that country because he's defending his country? That's nonsense. There's nothing going to happen on that. There's a lot of things to toss and turn in bed about, but that's not one of them.
Okay, so there's really no teeth to this at all then.
Yeah, that thing has it is talk. That's all it is. People need to just set that aside and move on.
All right, Senator, let's shift to something more domestic. Let's talk about your bill with the Lava Ridge project, delaying it. Ultimately, you want that thing just killed, put to bed.
I do, and with the election of President Trump, I'm optimistic we're going to get that done. It opens up a number. There's a lot of ways to kill something when it's on the track to be done, and so what this does is just open up more avenues for me. We're going to get this done. This thing is just absolutely nonsensical. Nobody in Idaho wants it except those that have a financial interest in it, and we're going to stop it.
Okay,
right.
Good news.
And again, closer to home, we were informed that you were sent a letter to the Mountain West Conference regarding Title IX and the concerns of males playing under the guise of being a female in women's sports. You sent that on Monday. Would you kind of give us an update on what that letter was? And do you feel like members of the Mountain West Conference are going to shift their opinion and start to comply?
Well, I guess it remains to be seen. This is one of those issues that's in flux, but I really feel like I know how it's going to come out. This is an issue that's probably a 95% issue with the American people. All this woke stuff has reached, I think, its boundary. I've got a lot of liberal friends who say this is crazy, saying that the boys can compete against women in sports. Where's the fairness there? I mean, if you truly believe in fairness in women's sports and want to promote women's sports, you don't say, okay, well, we're going to let guys who decide they want to wear a tutu and compete against them do it. We got rules. You just can't do that. So, and then using then going into the locker room with the girls. Gosh, how it hadn't been that long ago. We put people in jail for that, for men going into a women's locker room. So anyway, this is just nonsense. It needs to stop. We need to get sanity back into this. Kudos to the Boise State University for their volleyball team refusing to play a team that's got a transgender person on it, a male. They're a women's team. They want to play a women's team, not a women's team that's salted with players that have a physical advantage because they're male.
Senator, I want to ask you, we do have you for a couple of more minutes here, but something
Sure.
interesting and unanticipated, for me, it was unanticipated, happened with the Trump win, and that's almost this cultural embracing of Donald Trump. If you watch the NFL, you've got players left and right that are doing the
Right.
Trump dance. It's become this thing. We're seeing Comcast, they'll probably announce today that they're going to try and sell MSNBC and some of their other properties. You have problems going on with The View and ABC, and there's some deep discussions behind the scenes there. Layoffs at major media outlets like Associated Press and others. And I almost feel like we didn't just win an election, we gained a whole bunch of cultural ground on November 5th, and it became okay for millions of Americans to just love America and to even support Donald Trump. Do you feel that shift as well?
Isn't it wonderful? There is that shift out there. There's no question about it. And this happened a bit after Reagan won too. This country is a center-right country, and we get our mind is warped because of this constant anti-Trump stuff that we saw on the national media, and it turns out that it's that it was them. It's the national media. I tell you, I really felt this election beat NBC, CBS, ABC, and MSNBC, and the others. I think we beat them. I mean, and you've got to look. These are multi-billion-dollar corporations with tremendous power because everybody in America lets them into their home, and they preach hour after hour after hour against Donald Trump. And so you start thinking, gosh, is there anything left? And then here we win this, and we didn't win it just a little. We won it in a landslide. It's liberating, really, for people now to say, yeah, I voted for Donald Trump. We're going to make this work, and we're going to make America great again. We're moving away from woke. We're moving away from left. This is a good time to be an American.
Well, and I would add, and not to steal a talking point from the Kamala Harris campaign, but I feel like we are turning a page of some kind when you have Joe Rogan and Tucker Carlson, neither of which have any national TV presence at all, being bigger needle movers than anybody on TV. It's a fascinating shift.
It is, and it's credibility. I mean, we all know that they haven't had credibility. Now in the public square, the public marketplace, they have been defrocked, and it is clear their credibility does not exist.
Yeah. All right, Senator Risch, we always appreciate your time, and we especially have been lifted by your optimism. It's been a long time since I've asked you how things are, and you've answered that positively.
It feels good. Believe me, it feels good.
Yeah.
Senator Risch, somebody sent in a text and it says, wow, it sounds like somebody had their caffeine this morning. They can hear your excitement.
Well, when you live, I've lived back here for a long time under the Democrat thumb, and again, I say, it truly is a liberating feeling. It really is. And we're going to work really hard to get Donald Trump and his agenda pushed forward as much as we can. Like I said, I have voted for every appointment he's ever made. I have every intention of pressing the ones that he's made, and I'm working at it hard for Idahoans.
All right. On that note, Senator, we'll leave you till next time. Hopefully we'll chat with you in a couple of weeks, and have a wonderful Thanksgiving.